What's up, Bakugan fans? It's D Hart. I'm looking at all the Baku gear cards that belong to the Haos faction, the white faction, or the teal faction. Light blue. We're going to look at all the Baku gear from least expensive to most expensive and see which ones are good and which ones we should use in our decks. Quick recap on what the gears do if you haven't played this game before. If you have one of these gears in your hand, you can have up to 3 copies. You pay the cost, you slide it underneath the Bakugan character card that you want to attach it to, and you get the stats of the gear added to the stats of your Bakugan. So Mantanoid now has 600B and 2 damage instead of just 5. And he also has this, 2 Frost Strike, and we'll talk about what that means when we talk about the gear. So that's Baku gear. First up, we're gonna look at Boltbow. This was from Armored Alliance, very, very common, dime a dozen for one of these guys. 2 energy, 100B, 0 damage. The efficiency, paying 2 energy for 100B is bad. What you're getting from this card is 2 Frost Strike, which means that your opponent, if you win the battle and they're taking damage, your opponent is milling cards from the top of their deck, because this game is life decking. Their flip cards, their defensive cards, to stop your damage cost 2 more energy. So you use this card to make sure that your Bakugan's damage goes all the way through your opponent's deck. So that's what it is. If you like it, if you're not into Frost Strike, it's not a very efficient gear. Next 2-cost card is Shining Clubs. This is new with Shield of Vestroya. So something that is, on the newer side. 2 cost, 100B, 1 damage. You get 1 armor, so that means if you are taking damage from your opponent, when you flip this card, it also counts as another damage point. So, flip the card 1, count the armor 2, then flip the next one. It's a good defensive card. It says when you play this, you may re-roll your Bakugan. So it's a re-roll that goes into the cost. So maybe one of the energy goes to 100B and 1 damage. That's not bad. The other cost, 1 for a re-roll, is not bad either. So this card is doing 2 things at once, which is efficient. We like that. And then Empower. You may pay an additional 3 energy for 500B. Which would mean when you play this gear, you're paying 3 plus 2 is 5 for 600B and 1 damage and a reroll. It's good. It would be nice if it was like 2 energy for 500B. That'd make it way more powerful and on par with other action cards. But as a gear, usually they're not as good instantaneously as action cards, so it's more of a build-up. But there's Shining Clubs. Next one, 3 cost, Chaotic Redirect. This was from Fusion Force, 3 cost, super rare, 100B, 4 damage. It's nice to have more damage than the cost. It's not nice to have such a low B power to the cost, but that's how that balances out here. More of a damage gear card. And it says when you play this, if you have 3 or more hero cards in play, plus 505 damage. So this faction, Haos, specializes in having heroes, and has tricks and schemes around getting out a lot of heroes and then cards that build off of that. So this is cool in a hero type strategy deck to pay 3 energy to get 600B and 9 damage. That's actually really powerful if you were an action card and a gear. So this is like a needed card almost if you want to do a hero strategy, if you can find room in your deck for it. Then we have the next 3 cost, Guardian Wings. This is from Armored Alliance. It was a common card. When you play this, draw 1, and it's giving you 100B and 3 damage. So it's actually not terrible. 1 energy is giving you 100B. That's not very good. The other energy of the 3 is giving you 3 damage. 1 for 3 damage is good. And then the third energy is letting you draw a card. That's as good as the other Aquos faction, which specializes in card draw, the blue faction. So this card is actually doing a lot of things at once. It's not a bad trade-off. But if you're focusing on winning B power battles and you're paying 3 to only get 100, that doesn't always feel nice. So for me personally, for Haos, it's a good card draw, but B power strength, not so much. Then we have Lightning Striker, 3 cost. It's an awesome rare card from Armored Alliance. 200B, 0 damage. Not good trade-offs and ratios at all, but what you're playing this card for is the trifecta. If your Bakugan have 3 or more Baku cores attached to them, plus 7. So you'd have 200B and 7 damage for a 3 cost. All of a sudden that turns into a pretty efficient card. So as much as you can work on having your Bakugan get a lot of cores through cards in your hand, through Bakugan that double core, through Nanogon, through the specific Bakugan on your team that can specialize in picking up a core, like I'll put one up on the screen, a character card that adds a core from the field or steals your opponent's character card. This is a good gear to go with that. Then we have Energy Vortex, the Shields of Astroya card. This is another pretty cool niche card that can serve a cool purpose. And what's awesome is it's a 3 cost for 300B. That's what we love to see with these gears. It means they're strong. 0 damage, but that's okay because when you play this card, you attach a green fist from the field to an open Bakugan. So if you roll your Bakugan on a magic shield, they have a high B power of 1400 or something like that, 1500, 1600. You pay 3 to attach this gear, you get another 300, and then you can pick up any type of green fist. It could give you another 100 and 3 damage. It could give you 150, which I can't find that core next to me actually, so never mind. Oh, here it is. Give you 150 and 2. So you got 450 and 2 damage from this gear. And then there's a lot of strategies that go into, let's have a green fist, let's have multiple cores. If you have a green fist team, this would be a really strong one too, to make sure that you can keep enough green fists on your Bakugan team. Maybe tease out a Nanogon with it too. So this card is doing a lot for us. This is a really powerful one. Next up, we have Light Burst Cannons, 4 energy. It's a super rare. It's doing so much right now. It's got 300B, 3 damage, 2 armor, so it's a really strong defensive card. And when this flips from your deck, you're also, reducing the damage by 2. You also may pay 2 energy to put it into your hand. So that's pretty cool. The fact that it's a 4 energy for 300B and 3 damage though, like we've been talking about, is a little underwhelming. If one of those stats could have been, 400B, that would have been even more awesome and amazing, but maybe a little imbalanced based on what they're trying to do here, because they did give us 2 armor rating. Sometimes you can see that armor rating goes into the cost. Other times, like with the Pyrus gear, Rocket Bracers, I think it was, or another one, you don't see the armor rating going into the cost. So a little inconsistent there, I think, so far, but who knows, we'll see. Then we have perhaps the best gear in all of Bakugan trading card game. Glimmering Glaive, a 4 cost. It gives you 400B and 0 damage. When you play this, you may attach a Baku core from the field onto one of your Bakugan. And what you would do is, you play this card, you take your opponent's magic shield that they have not picked up yet. For 4 energy, you get 1050B that turn. 400B ongoing afterwards. You've stolen your opponent's core and ruined them from getting this magic shield unless they do a similar move back to you. It's so strong. Everybody knows it's one of the best, if not the best gears in the game. And there you go. It's in the Haos faction, Glimmering Glaive. Then we have another 4 cost Haos Slashers. It's from Fusion Force, common card, 400B and 0 damage for 4 energy. That's really good. We like that. And it's giving us a Frost Strike. So your opponent has to pay an extra energy to play one of their flip cards when they're taking damage from you to stop the damage. So this is a strong one, maybe a little under the radar, just because you get the B power for the energy cost. It's cool. And if you have a Frost Strike strategy going on, he's a cool one, along with our other Frost Strike gear, Boltbow. Then we have 5 cost, Shield of Astroya, one of the more recent cards, newer. Rainbow Sparkle Cannon of Doom. 5 cost for 400B, 4 damage with 1 armor rating. So whether or not this had armor, it's really similar to cards that give us, 100B and 1 damage less than the cost of the card. As I'm looking through all these examples here, I think other factions had more. Like if you look at the Darkest Baku Gear card list, all of theirs had, a 4 cost for 300B and 3. But some of these Haos ones have entered armor where the Darkest didn't, so kind of weird there to see what armor costs or not. But this is a strong-ish, could be stronger, but strong-ish. A favorite of one of the people I play with, Flame Breather, he loves that card. Then we have Brilliant Armor, 5 cost for 300B, 6 damage, and it has the Victor effect where if you do win the battle, you get to draw a card. This is it's a balanced. I guess they tried to balance it as best they could. Instead of having 400B though, 1 less than the 5, to match the 6, 1 more than the 5, they gave it 300, and it's probably because you get to draw a card on the Victor effect. If that Victor effect wasn't there, and this had 400B and 6 damage, it'd be a pretty strong card. Not that it's not strong with Victor, but it's a fun one. And then last one here, I gotta go back and check to see if this is not the best return for your buck efficient Baku gear that we have. A 6 cost for 1000B. There might be some other gears. If I don't find them before the rest of you do in this video, comment, let me know what it is. But this is huge. I don't think in this series yet, as I've gone back and reminded myself and looked at all these gears, that we've had this big of a difference in the B power and the cost. 6 energy for 1000. So this is cool. You could tease it out early with these gear reduction cores, pay 4 and you get 1000. Paying 4 energy for 1000B is a really good trade-off even on an action card. It can be efficient and feel good at that value. So Hail Bracers, I should use it more often. I think I want to put it in the deck. All right, that's all the Haos cards that I have. Gear cards, let me know what you think. Which ones do you like? What are you using besides Glimmering Glaive? Let me know.